Let's talk about the single most important nutrient you consume every single day. And yet it's the one we almost always forget when we talk about diet and health. Yep, it's just plain old water. But understanding its role, it's absolutely critical. So let's dive right in. So why is water so essential? I mean, we hear it all the time, drink more water. But what makes it more fundamental than, say, vitamins or protein? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It comes down to how much of you is actually made of water and the unbelievable number of jobs it's doing inside your body every single second. And to really wrap your head around that, get this, 60%. That's not a small number. Over half of your entire body weight is just water. For an average person, that's something like 42 liters. It's the main ingredient in your cells, your organs, everything. You're basically a walking, talking, thinking body of water. Okay, so that brings us to our first big idea. We're going to look at exactly why water is the body's undisputed MVP, its most valuable player. We'll uncover all the vital, behind-the-scenes jobs it's doing to keep you alive and well. You know, water is the ultimate multitasker. It's not just doing one thing, it's doing everything all at once. It's literally the building material for your cells. It's a shock absorber protecting your brain and your spinal cord. It's a lubricant that keeps your joints moving smoothly. But that's not all. It's also your body's chief of operations. It's the solvent, or all the chemical reactions that keep you alive happen. It's the delivery service, the nutrient carrier that brings fuel to your cells and then takes the trash out. And of course, it's your personal temperature regulator, using sweat to keep you from overheating. It is incredible. So, if water is doing all these critical jobs, how does your body make sure it always has exactly the right amount? Well, that leads us to the great balancing act, the incredibly precise, totally automatic system your body uses to manage its water levels day in and day out. It's actually a pretty simple equation when you break it down. Think of it like a bank account. You've got your daily deposits, that's the water you get from drinks, from food, and even a tiny bit your body makes all by itself. And then you've got your daily withdrawals. That's water you lose through urine, through your skin, when you sweat, even just from breathing. To stay hydrated, the books have to balance at the end of the day. And this chart, wow. This shows you just how precise that balancing act is. Look at the numbers for a typical adult who's not running around a lot. You've got about 2,550 milliliters coming in, and what do you know, exactly 2,550 milliliters going out. That is not an accident. That is a masterpiece of biological engineering happening inside you right now. And that brings us to this key line from the research. Your body is so good at this, it's so finely tuned that even a tiny deficit, just 1%, is usually corrected within 24 hours. This system is always on, always working in the background to keep you perfectly balanced. So, how does it pull this off? Well, one of the star players is a hormone you can think of as a water-saving messenger. Its technical name is ADH. When your brain, acting like mission control, detects that water levels are dipping, it sends out ADH. And that messenger goes straight to your kidneys with a simple command. Hey, slow down. Hold on to more water. Don't let so much out in the urine. Now, this is probably the most important thing to understand in this whole explainer. This all happens before you even begin to feel thirsty. Your body is already trying to conserve water behind the scenes. That feeling of thirst, that's actually a lagging indicator. It's your body's backup alarm, screaming at you, hey, the automatic systems are already working overtime, you're already running low. Which, of course, leads to the next big question. What actually happens when that balancing act fails? When you ignore the backup alarm? Let's take a look at the warning signs of dehydration. First, let's just get the definition straight. Dehydration is simply when your water withdrawals are bigger than your deposits. The balance is broken, your bank account is in the red, and your body doesn't have enough water to do all of its jobs properly. And here are some of those early warning signs. You'll probably recognize a few of them, right? That dry, sticky mouth feeling, obviously feeling more thirsty, but it can also show up in ways you might not immediately connect to water, like a nagging headache, feeling some muscle weakness, or just feeling kind of dizzy or lightheaded. These are all signals that your core systems are starting to feel the strain. And please, don't just brush these signs off. The science is incredibly clear on this. We're not talking about being stranded in the desert for days. Even a mild water loss of just 1 to 2% of your body weight can seriously mess with how you think and how you move. It can impact your concentration, your memory, and your physical endurance. It's a big deal. Now, while anyone can get dehydrated, there are two groups that are especially at risk. The first is pretty obvious, young infants, because they just can't tell you, hey, I'm thirsty. But the second group might surprise you. It's the elderly. Because as we get older, our body's thirst signal can actually get weaker, making it really easy to slip into dehydration without even realizing it. All right, that's enough of the problem. Let's talk about the solution. This all brings us to the big practical question. How much should you actually be drinking? Let's build your daily water blueprint. So here it is, the key number you've been waiting for. On average, for an adult who isn't super active, the goal is to drink about 1.5 liters a day. And I'm stressing the word drink here, because we're talking about your beverage intake. This is the main dial you can turn to keep your body's water count topped up. Now you might be thinking, hey, what about all the water in the food I eat? And you're right, we get a decent chunk, about 20 to 30% of our water, from solid food. But the lion's share, we're talking 70 to 80%, comes from what we drink. That's why consciously choosing to drink fluids is, by far, the most important habit for staying hydrated. But of course, that 1.5-liter number is just a starting point. It's not a one-size-fits-all rule. Your personal needs can change a lot. Think about it. If you're in a hot climate, you're going to need more. If you just had a tough workout, you'll need more. If you're sick with a fever, you guessed it, you need more. You always have to adjust for your own situation. And this all leads us to the single biggest takeaway, the golden rule of hydration. And it's summed up perfectly in this quote. Since we know thirst is a delayed signal, the best strategy is to be proactive. Making a habit of drinking water before you feel thirsty is the real secret to staying properly hydrated. So I'll just leave you with this one simple question to think about. Are you waiting for that thirst alarm to go off before you reach for a glass of water? Now that you know that's a lagging signal, maybe it's time to start getting